G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for being here and watching my content. I really do appreciate it. It is 3:30 in the morning, okay? I waited till 3:30 in the morning for Andy Farrell to release the names for the Irish team. Okay, the Springboks released this earlier, but yeah, it's 3:30 in the morning. I'm doing this preview because I couldn't sleep. I just had to know who's selected against the mighty Springboks. This is really important, guys. This is the best team in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm so excited I can't even talk. Against the best team from the Southern Hemisphere. This is the mighty Springboks, the world champion, and many believe to be currently the best team in the world. Ireland. What a match. Aviva Stadium, Ireland, as big as it gets. And to top it all off, the last time these two teams played was 2017. We had to wait 5 years to see this. This is longer than the Rugby World Cup. We have to wait longer to see this than the Rugby World Cup, okay? This is how excited I am. I cannot sleep. Let's have a look at what happened. We've got a lot to go through, so without further ado, let's talk about the game. First up, there's going to be a potential color clash of the jerseys. So Springboks going to be in the traditional dark green. And I think someone was talking about this is a courtesy for the home team, for the away team. So the home team, the Irish team, decides to wear their away jersey, which is a dark purple. So this is going to be really bad on TV. And this is exactly what happened last time the two teams meet. So as you can see, this was from 2017. Really bad color clashing for both teams. Hopefully, one of the teams decides to change the colors. I know the Springboks has a white jersey they can wear. Maybe they can do that. Or even if the Irish team just go back to the traditional green, that would be a much better color than the dark blue that is going to be played currently, penciled in. Obviously, the Irish team, Conor Murray is going to get his 100th test cap. This guy has been the backbone of the Irish team for very, very long as the number 9. He actually has been coming off the bench a lot in recent times, so he will be moving to the number 9 jersey this weekend. So like I mentioned before, the two teams, last time they met was 2017. Longer than the Rugby World Cup, guys. So enjoy this and love every minute of it. You don't know. It might be another 5 years, maybe 10 years, who knows, since next time we're going to see these two teams play again. So enjoy this as much as you can. And the score was, actually, are they going to play next year in the Rugby World Cup? I think they're in the same pool, actually. Are they in the same pool? I don't know, but I think they are. Anyway, let me know. I think they're in the same pool, actually. Anyway. So this will be one of the games that everybody wanted to see for a very long time. Last time Ireland absolutely dominated Springboks with Rasmus as the head coach, but then Rassie turned the team around. Essentially, that was kind of like the point where Rassie started to turn the Springboks around for the Rugby World Cup in 2009, like starting to turn the team around and preparing the team to go on to win the Rugby World Cup in 2019. So, yeah, really not that much of an indicator, but let's have a look at something that's really, really impressive for the Irish team. So, Ireland has lost only 2 test matches since Johnny Sexton returned from his injury in 2021. So, if we go all the way back to 2021 Six Nations, 2022 and 21 Six Nations, as you can see here, right? Italy versus Ireland, 40 points led. So Johnny Sexton had a bit of injury. I think it was concussion. And he was out for these games. And this was basically, everybody was, during this time when they lost Wales especially, everybody was calling Andy Farrell to get fired. And then since Johnny Sexton returned, 48 points to 10 against Italy, Ireland has only lost 2 test matches. And one of them was against the All Blacks in New Zealand. One of them against France this year in the Six Nations. So that is how important Johnny Sexton is to Ireland, and that is how important, how good the Irish actually has been in the last a couple of years. It's just unbelievable record for any team to only lose 2 matches in almost 24 months. So you can have a look at this games here. The only game they've lost is Six Nations away in France. And that was, again, interestingly, without Johnny Sexton on the field. He was injured for this game. So Johnny Sexton has only lost one test match since returning to Ireland. Yeah, what a huge, since returning to Ireland in 2021. So what a huge difference this one man makes. So if we quickly have a look at the current season, just to finish off, Ireland, only loss was the first test against New Zealand at Eden Park, the place that many to believe unbeatable for the All Blacks. And that's the only test Johnny Sexton has lost. So this is going to be a really difficult challenge for the Springboks. And as we can see, the Springboks stats has been on and off in the last couple of years since the return. They did win the Lions tour, which was really important. But overall, it's been 50-50 for them. They lost twice against Australia last year. They lost one time against Australia, one time against New Zealand this year. They also lost one time against New Zealand this year as well. So it's been on and off for the Springboks. Consistency has definitely been an issue. They also lost to England at Twickenham by 1 point as well last year. So yeah, the Springboks performance has been up and down. Let's not forget, Springboks also lost to Wales the first time at home this year in July Test Series. So the Springboks, record has definitely not looking as good. It's definitely not looking as good as the Irish team. But there is an ace up the sleeves of the Springboks. So the Springboks currently, the records, right? Currently, obviously, the Springboks in a kind of like weird setup with the coaching. Like the official head coach is Jax Ninaba, right? So Jax Ninaba is the official head coach, but everybody knows Rassie Erasmus is the real coach behind the scenes. Even though he's technically the director of rugby, he doesn't technically get involved. He used to run the water on for the team, but everybody knows he still coaches the team. And his presence when he's in the team is really huge for the players. So Rassie Erasmus is a big factor for the Springboks performance. How big, you might ask? It's actually quite huge. So Jax Ninaba, just to give you an idea, has an overall win rate of 63%, which is okay for an international coach, right? But if you take the game, because Rassie Erasmus got banned for a year after the Lions tour, if you take that, if you take a Rassie Erasmus involvement with Jax Ninaba, so if you take that year where Rassie Erasmus was not in the team, his win rate is only 36%. So his win rate is literally halved without Rassie Erasmus. So yeah, that tells you, and to be fair, Rassie Erasmus, if your win rate is 36% without Rassie, it means that when you had Rassie Erasmus, your win rate will be much higher than 63% to average out to be 60%, if that makes sense. So your win rate will have to be way higher than 60 for your 36% to be still averaging out at, I didn't do the exact math, to average out at 63%, your win rate will be much higher than 63 when Rassie is in the team. So with Rassie Erasmus in the team, the South Africans is really a different animal to contend with for any team in the world. So that is a huge factor. We have to see if that's going to make a difference in the game in the weekend, which I do think is going to make a difference. So a lot of people think Irish team is just going to blow this game out of the water against the Springboks, considering the records. But I do think that it's going to be a much more difficult task with Rassie Erasmus being in the coaching box. So the referee we'll have to talk about is Nika Mashu Kelly. He's a Georgian referee. He was the referee in, I think it was the referee last week, the New Zealand game. Yeah, New Zealand against Japan. I think it was that one. He was also really good. In fact, there was a really interesting incident in the Six Nations where where Ireland played Italy, and Italy had to go down to 12 players due to going to uncontested scrums. And Nika is the referee that picked up that Italy had to lose a player as a punishment for going to uncontested scrums, whereas that detail was missed by the All Blacks when they went down to contested scrums against Ireland in the July Test series. So Nika, despite Ireland being involved in both incidences, the All Blacks was able to get away with playing without being punished to for going to uncontested scrums because they had a yellow, I think it was a red card at that point. Whereas Nika is the referee that picked up that part of the law where uncontested scrums would penalize a team to go down one extra player. So Italy had to play with 12 players. And that was with Ireland on the opposite side as well. So I think Irish team will be pretty happy having him on the field because he's actually quite a good referee in that regards. Overall, this is going to be also a bit of a wet weather as well. 14 degrees, a bit of rain on Saturday in Ireland. Aviva Stadium, bit of rain. It does not have a roof. And this could be a bit gritty. Could be a tight affair for both teams. With that being said, let's have a quick look at the lineup I think we've all wanted to see. So first up, the Springboks has once again opted to put the bomb squad in the starting position in the scrummaging in the front rowers. So we got Stephen Kitsy coming in at number 1 once again. Malcolm Marx once again gets the starting position at hooker, and Franz Malherbe, the big tight hair prop, gets the number 3 position. I'm pretty sure Malherbe was injured. I think he was injured in the Lions tour. I'm pretty sure he got injured in the first Lions test, I think. So he didn't really get that much exposure against the Irish team from memory. And then essentially Ty Furlong and Andrew Porter will be the tight head and loose head for the Irish side. And Dan Sheehan will be the hooker. Ty Furlong was involved in the Lions test also. He knows the Springboks front rowers and he's definitely felt it firsthand. And I did think that the Springboks had an advantage over the Lions front rowers, over the Lions scrummaging. So yeah, that's this. I think in terms of the scrummaging, I do think that the Springboks might still have a little bit of advantage here. We shall see. I do think that the overall cohesion of the Ireland's 4-pack is a lot better than the Lions team because obviously it's like a mixed match of players. But whether or not that scrum's going to be functionally better against the Springboks, I don't know. Like I said, I think Malherbe, which is a big part of the Springbok scrum, was out late, I think for at least a portion of the Lions tour. So we have to see how this is going to play out. And I think I'll have to give the advantage a little bit to the Springboks. In the locking positions, Ty Burns and James Ryan starting to become that really, bread and butter combination for Ireland. Ty Burns has been coming off the bench a lot as that finisher for the Irish team. Against the All Blacks, we all saw what he could do in that dying stages to winning that final test, literally turning the game over and single-handedly or double-handedly turning the ball over and winning the game for Ireland, sealing the deal for the Ireland in critical moments. So we can all see how good he was. We've all seen how good he was for the Irish team. James Ryan, again, really good at the lineouts, really good in that set-piece play as well. But they are against, 2 of the best lineout jumpers in the world. And I do think Ibn Esbeth is by far, the best lock in the world. Just the man's heart. There's I can't say anything more about it. He is a championship player, Ibn Esbeth. He is absolutely a professional every minute he's on the field, and he has the heart of the champion to fight when things gets tough, and that's something that very few players have, and Ibn Esbeth has that. So as much as I just talked about how good Ty Burns is when the game gets tough, coming out, winning the game in tough moments, Ibn Esbeth is just as much of a player as Ty Burns. So this will be really interesting to see who's going to actually pull out ahead. And literally, whoever wins this battle probably can take the title of the best lock in the world right now. Lou Diacha is going to be a player that plays a support role for Ibn. He is also a really good set-piece manager, I would say. I do think that sometimes he does make mistakes in lineouts. He was a lot better, I felt, last year. But this year, I did think that his lineout is a little bit... I don't know. Maybe I do think that his lineout is not as clean as he was last year. So, hopefully he gets a better game this game, because this is really important that he pulls a good performance out this weekend. In the loose forwards, Peter Armani comes in number 6. Again, first time ever. I never thought I would see Peter Armani cry. He did cry after winning against the All Blacks. I guess it's okay for people to cry nowadays. I mean, I wouldn't cry, but Peter Armani, he cries. I guess that's you, Peter. I lie. I cry all the time. So every time the Wallabies would lose, I cry. Okay, I cry, and then I make these videos. Anyway, up on the Springbok side is Siya Kolisi, the captain of the team. Siya will be actually, despite wearing a 6 jersey, he will be like more of an open side flanker position. He'll play more of a traditional style flanker role. He also plays like a number 8. In fact, he runs the ball a lot and he works around the park to chase the breakdowns. Whereas the number 7 jersey for Ireland plays more of that open side flanker position in the form of Josh van der Flier. He's up against Peter Seb du Toit, who is a different specialist for the Springboks for that breakdown. Peter Seb du Toit really likes to park around that rock, the rock, and just be like defensively and offensively impose his presence around the rock. He does stand around to block the box kick as well, to help block the box kick and both charge down the boxes as well. So his specialty is really tight around the rock, where Siya plays much looser around the field. Josh van der Flier and Peter Armani both plays a more traditional style of flankers, more like, they both play the similar style to Siya Kolisi, chase around the field. Van der Flier does, also play like a little bit of a assist role in the back line as well in terms of attacks, but overall, there's a very big difference in the way that Peter Seb du Toit plays from the rest of the flankers on the field. Number 8 position, we have Keelan Doris for Ireland and Jasper Wiese for Springboks. Again, Jasper Wiese is one of the specialists that targets the high ball, especially the box kick. He's the box kicks chaser specialist. And also he provides that traditional hard running game for, as you would expect from number 8. And Keelan Doris is also a really good runner for the Ireland. One of the key weapons that the Ireland like to employ is fast breakdown and quick forward support, crash ball, fast breakdown, quick forward support, crash ball. So that's one of the keys, and one of the fastest players on the field that supports the backline is Keelan Doris. He is almost like a backline option a lot of times for the Irish team. So one of the big differences in the 4-pack between Ireland and South Africa is the ability for the Irish forwards to carry the ball like a back. So James Ryan, the Locks, Josh van der Flier, and Doris are all really, really, really impressive ball runners, whereas Peter Armani and Ty Burns are more specialized at the breakdown. Even the props, Andrew Porter and Ty Furlong, are known to be two of the best running props in the world, and the Springboks will have to rely a lot more on their set piece, on their structure, to try to counter that Ireland attack. But there is one thing that the Springboks 4-pack does really, really well, is tackles. They make a lot of tackles, and with really high tackle percentage. And we shall see as well, the Springboks is running 6-2 in the back line. So should the Springboks need, they can adjust the 4-pack according to the situation as well. And they do have that extra forward on the bench, which means that in terms of fitness, the Springboks will have that little bit of advantage later in the game. So how this is going to turn out, I don't know. This is a complete clash of style of two different 4-packs. And I do have to give the attack speed a little bit more advantage for the Irish team. But I do think that the set piece is the bread and butter of the Springboks. And that's going to be a bit of advantage for the Springboks in terms of 4-pack. In the back line, now this is, again, a really interesting matchup for the two teams. First off, we've got Conor Murray comes in number 9 for the number 10 spot. Conor Murray is a very traditional style of the Irish team. He's a little bit more slower, a little bit more methodical compared to Gibson Parks. But Conor Murray, this is his 100 attempts. He will be absolutely swinging for the fences for the team. He's up against the young and upcoming Jaden Hendrickse. Jaden Hendrickse, ever since he's been out of the Springboks, has been incredibly impressive. I think he incredibly impressive. Yeah, I think he debuted with a try against for the Springboks against Argentina, I believe it was. Coming on the field, first time he touched the ball, scored a try, as good as he can pretty much get. And the two number 9s, I think it's pretty similar in style. Actually, I think Jaden Hendrickse is just maybe a little bit faster than Conor Murray at the breakdown, but in terms of the style they play, very similar to traditional quick balls and then box kicks. Nothing too fancy outside of those. The key matchup in the back line is number 10 spot. Johnny Sexton up against Damian Willemse. Damian Willemse is the Swiss pocket knife for the Springboks. He is the best player in the Springboks team. He's the most important player in the Springboks team at the moment. Without him, the Springboks cannot function. He covers every position in the back line, and he's so talented. He's a world-class 10, he's a world-class 12, he's a world-class fullback, and I'm sure he can play winger as well. And just the fact that he can play all those positions to a world-class standard means that Willemse is going to have a little bit more. He's going to show that experience, shows that variety, and he's going to be positioned a little bit differently around the park as well to try to utilize those experience that he has against Ireland. So I think that is the advantage for Damian Willemse. He has that experience from the other positions that he can work with to try to direct the players around him to play how he wants to play. And he can see those opportunities for players in positions, for him to direct. For Johnny Sexton, he is absolutely the most important player in the Irish team. Like I mentioned to you in the stats, Johnny Sexton, since he returned, he has only lost one game. And Ireland has struggled without Johnny Sexton for a very long time. It's the Irish team, take away everything they have. Johnny Sexton is literally the difference between winning and losing. He's just that important. He's just that damn good. He's so good. I'm pretty confident to say that Johnny Sexton is the greatest number 10 in Irish history ever. He's absolutely phenomenal for the Irish team. And the winning record for the Irish team doesn't lie. And I can't say anything more about that. And the big difference, and Johnny Sexton as well, really good at that fast thinking, fast directing of the traffic, being able to identify space really quickly and shift the ball around to where he wants and directs the traffic, to attack the holes that he spots, which is, something that nobody can do better than Johnny Sexton around the world. And one thing that is big difference between the two sides, and in fact, this is a big issue for the Springboks, is goal kicking. Johnny Sexton's goal kicking is pretty high world-class percentage, whereas Damian Willemse, really struggles with goal kicking. Actually not sure who is going to be the goal kicking for the Springboks, because Willemse's goal kicking is not exactly ideal for international tests. Maybe Cheslin Colby will take the kicks. I don't know. But we'll have to see how they go. But I do think Willemse's kick is definitely really a big gap behind Johnny Sexton in that regard. But I do think Willemse's kicking game, in terms of ball kicking from hand, is slightly better than Johnny Sexton, because Johnny Sexton don't really kick that much in attack, whereas Damian Willemse as a Springboks really likes that kicking game. So there is a contrast as well in the style of the two number 10s when it comes to the kicking attack strategies. So in number 11 jersey, we have Mack Hansen, former Australian. At 11, ever since he debuted for Ireland, he's been absolutely spectacular. He's up against probably the best winger in the world, a lot of people think. Michael Zolo-Mapimpi, extremely good on his high ball, extremely good finisher. Every time he gets the ball, he's extremely dangerous. And Michael Zolo-Mapimpi, this will be a huge matchup to see how he go for Mack Hansen to deal with. In the center combinations, we got Robbie Henshaw and Gary Ringzorus, the two, the two trial by fire best combination for the Irish team in the 12 and 13 jersey. Absolute just masters with the ball in terms of being able to shift the ball around, and just the speed, the mobility that the two players bring to the team is quite spectacular just to watch, and it's really beautiful to watch how quickly they can shift them around. Johnny Sexton to utilize the space that presents in front of them. It's actually quite impressive. They're up against Damien Dilendi and Jesse Krill. Damien Dilendi is a more traditional style of number 12. He will be crash the ball center field to try to get over the advantage line. Just use that size as a weapon. Whereas Jesse Krill is more of a kicking, chasing specialist. Jesse Krill has played winger last year for the Springboks, so he's well versed in that kicking strategy for the Springboks. So I would not be surprised if a lot of kicking is involved as the core strategy for the Springboks, with Jesse Krill almost acting like an extra winger in the number 13 jersey. Number 14, we have Robert Bulu-Kun. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I have seen him play for Ulster in the URC. I thought he was okay. I didn't think he was. I did think that he was really. He did have really good footwork, but I do think I don't know if this is just because obviously I only watched a limited amount of times of him in the URC. He did play with Billy Burns. I do think that he was a little bit flat-footed in the URC. So we have to see how this match goes for him. I'm sure Andy Farrell didn't just pick him because he was flat-footed when he received the ball. So, but that's just my view. We have to see how this is a huge test for him, especially he'll be playing up against Curly Alensa, a high ball specialist. We saw how devastating he was against the All Blacks. Obviously taking out Beauden Barrett in that horrendous crash aside, he was so devastating on the high ball. And like the way he just throws himself in the air for the high ball, almost in a reckless style, is just so difficult to deal with, and he's so good under it. His percentage of recovering the ball against the All Blacks was just astonishingly high. So how Robert's gonna cope with that, I don't know, because from what I saw, he was more of a traditional winger, try to utilize the footwork with the space given to him. And whereas Adensa, like I said, it's a high ball chaser specialist. This is again incredibly different styles. And number 14 jersey, and finally number 15, again a bit of a really interesting here. We'll have Hugo Kin coming in number 15. As you would expect, many people think he's the best fullback in the world. I still think that Keenan is a weak point for the Springboks, and he will be tested to his full limit this weekend, no doubt, with the kicking game. Cheslin Kobe, interestingly, gets that 15 jersey over Willie LaRue. I do think that Willie LaRue, coming off the bench, has saw better results for the Springboks. Whenever Willie LaRue starts with a full test match, I don't know, maybe, I don't know what is it about him. He seems to make more mistakes than when he does come off the bench. When Willie LaRue comes off the bench, he's extremely clinical. He hardly makes any mistakes. Whereas when he starts, he seems to just make a lot of mistakes, more than uncharacteristic mistakes as well. So I do like having Villarreal on the bench. So Cheslin Kobe, again, he's had a jaw injury. Again, another one of the players who specializes in kicking. But the big difference between Cheslin Kobe and Hugo Kinnan and any other fullback in the world is Cheslin Kobe's ability to attack with the ball when he receives the high ball, when he receives the kick. So Cheslin Kobe is one of the very, very, very few players in the world. In fact, he might be, I probably think he's the only one that can just create a try out of nowhere. He can literally step through your whole team and score a try. That's how good he is. That's how agile he is. So if the kicking game is not on point for Ireland, if the pressure from the kicking game is low, Cheslin Kobe will literally run through your whole team and score a try from 50, 60 meters out. Easy. He's done it again and again and again against the best teams in the world, against the best defense in the world, against the All Blacks. He's able to just, make the All Blacks look like they don't know how to tackle. He's that good. He's that dangerous. And at the fullback position, I do expect that he will be counter-attacking more than kicking the ball. So, that is a really, really interesting dynamic that Springboks going to bring. For Hugo Keenan, I do think that the game where the Bulls beat Leinster under Jake White, I do think that they exploited Hugo Kinnan's ability under the high ball a little bit in that semi-final match last year. I do think that the Springboks will probably look to exploit that again against him, and we shall see how he goes. Because a lot of you guys disagree with me when I say that Hugo Kinnan is not that great under the high ball. A lot of you pointed to his performances against the All Blacks, but to be fair, I do think the All Blacks kicking game is not that great. And I think the Springboks kicking game, especially with the number of players that they have to apply pressure, like Cheslin Kobe, like Alensa, Jesse Krill to some extent, Marco Zolo, Mapimpi, and in the forwards, we have Jasper Visa. They're all just pressure players under the high ball. So the amount of pressure Kindan's going to be getting is going to be next level compared to the All Blacks. So that is going to be really, really difficult. This is going to be a really difficult test match. And he could be the breaking point that the Springboks look to potentially win the to try to potentially win the game. So I think the Springboks strategy will most likely be pressuring that high ball, pressuring that kicking game, especially in the rain, and try to find penalties at the breakdown, and then use that scrummaging, whichever works better for them, as a point of, as the key weapon to win, to either score more tries or get penalties and kick 3 points. So I think that's the Springbok strategy. The Ireland will have the similar strategy as we always expect. Fast breakdown, fast crash ball runners, just quick retention, quick balls, and Johnny Sexton will be directing traffic like a god that he has been, and try to find holes and use that momentum to get themselves over the try line and score tries predominantly to try to win the test match. Finally, let's quickly finish off the bench. I don't want this video to go any longer. So on the bench, we have Rob Hearing, Cian Healy, and Finlay Bellum, a pretty standard setup for the Springboks. Whereas pretty standard setup for Ireland. Whereas for Springboks, Bungi Bunabi, Ox Unche, and Vincent Koch gets the reserve for front rowers. Bungi Bunabi has been injured, so he's returned to the fold. Normally he starts, but since he's been injured, he has been coming off the bench for the last game. In fact, he only returned for one game, I think. Vincent Koch returns for the tight head, and Ox Unche gets the nod over Trevor Nyakani for the number 17 jersey. Number 18, Finlay Bellum for Ireland. Kieran Treadwell for number 19. Kieran Treadwell for number 19. Franco Mostert is that additional lock option / flanker. So he can both play lock and flanker. He's a world-class lock. So Franco Mostert will come on either for Lou Diacha if he's not performing, or he'll come on for Sia Khaleesi. Peter Sip-Toy at number 7. Number 20, Jack Conan for Ireland. Dion Fury. This is an interesting selection for the Springboks because Dion Fury actually also reserved as a hooker. So technically, the Springboks has 3 hookers on the field. So most likely Dion Fury will go on as a flanker at number 6. But or maybe even number 8 actually, number 6 or number 8, whichever position. But if for some reason both hookers gets injured, he will be a third hooker to be put into place. In a really weird way that could happen. For number 21, Jameson Gibson Parks, the number 9 for Ireland. I do think Gibson Parks has a slightly faster breakdown speed than Conor Murray. We shall see how much game time again. Is he going to get 50 minutes? Is he going to get 40 minutes or 30 minutes? We shall see on the weekend. Huaga Smith is the 6th forward for the Springboks. Huaga Smith, again, another specialized person. He used to be a 7th player. He's a specialized loose forward for the Springboks. His job is to bring speed to the breakdowns, and he has been sometimes subbed on early at the number 8 spot as well, to just give that extra bit of speed if they see that the breakdown speed is too slow. So we could potentially see Huaga Smith get on the field a little bit earlier for the Springboks if the Irish breakdown, if the Irish 4-pack is just rampaging over the Springboks defense and getting that momentum too much, they might bring Huaga Smith on. We've seen it happen before. He has been brought onto the field 30 minutes in the first half, maybe even less than that. So the Springboks will not be afraid to bring him on early. Final couple players. Joey Carberry comes in number 22, will be reserved for Johnny Sexton. Faf de Klerk comes in at 22 for the number 9 reserve. Stuart Mikulski comes in at 23 as a center substitution, and Billy LaRue comes in 23 as a fullback substitution. So Cheslin Kobe will be covering the number 10 if Willemse gets injured, and obviously Faf covers number 9. Faf also can cover 10 as well, but I think Cheslin Kobe probably most likely to play 10 if Willemse somehow gets injured. Billy LaRue obviously will cover 15, and interesting. And then also, if for some reason the center gets injured, Willemse could potentially move to center and have like I said, Faf at 10 or maybe Cheslin Kobe at 10. Interesting stuff for the Springboks setup there, but I think the biggest one is Dion Fury at number 20. And let me know your thoughts, guys. Like and comment, know your prediction. I think this is going to be a really tight. I think Rassie Erasmus will make a statement here. And I think the Springboks will edge out a win by 1 point. Yeah. Let's say, I don't know. Hard to say. I would say Springboks number 1, but I don't know the score. Let me know your scores in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys later this week for the review. Cheers.